This is Radio Warneford, free hospital radio for South Warwickshire. Radio Warneford.
I'm delighted to welcome community dietitian Ruth Breese to our studios to talk to us about Dietitians Week. Welcome, Ruth.
Hello.
So tell me a little bit about what you do within the hospital.
Right. Well, actually, I'm a community dietitian, so I don't work in the hospitals very often. But generally, dietitians are trained to give people who need it advice on how to change what they eat to either prevent or deal with a condition or an illness that they have.
So you talk to them and you get to know their symptoms, and then you prescribe or you put a diet together or suggest.
Yeah, we would talk to the person about what they eat now and what needs to change, so that we can give them specific individualised advice about what they need to do to relieve symptoms or treat a condition.
And I understand that there's a special week that's coming up to promote dietitians.
Yes, it's the 4th Dietitians Week. Sounds grand, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So it starts on Monday the 12th of June. And the aim is to talk about dietitians and how we use evidence-based nutrition to provide our evidence and our expertise.
You're going to be within the hospital, aren't you? So that people can come down and talk to you.
That's right, yes. We're going to have a display up in the corridor outside outpatients, on the wards side of outpatients, and we'll be there from 11 till 3 most days, but there might be a couple of days there we're a little bit earlier. And there'll be a group of dietitians there. We'll have a quiz about evidence where you can decide whether you think that a statement is true or false and whether there's any evidence to support it. And we have got some prizes, so you could win a hamper of snacks. Some of them are a little bit healthy, some of them aren't. And also I think we're going to have a fruit and veg hamper as well. And when you've answered the quiz and you've handed in your answers, we will give you a page with the results on, so that actually you discover and you learn more about what the evidence is telling us about all sorts of different aspects of food and nutrition.
It's a very good way of getting the message across and engaging people.
Well, we hope so, yes.
Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about diets, which is something that most people are quite nervous about, aren't they?
It's a horrible word, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. So talk to me about fad diets.
Oh dear, that sometimes can be the bane of our lives. Fad diets are so popular. They're diets that claim that you're going to lose a stone in a week, or it's going to cure an illness, or it's used for treating something. And a lot of these diets have absolutely no evidence to say that they're going to work. And it can be really upsetting when you get somebody coming in to see you who's been following one of these diets, believes what they've been telling them, and it hasn't worked for them. A lot of the fad diets as well try and persuade you that you've either got to buy an expensive book or expensive supplements, and you probably do need some extra vitamins and minerals, because some of these diets are so limiting. They cut out whole groups of food and stop you eating things. And often, if they're there for weight reduction, they work because they've cut out so much of the foods that everybody enjoys eating. And you can't keep that up long term. And if you lose the weight really quickly, chances are you're going to put it on again really quickly, and that defeats the whole object of going on the diet in the first place.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Because if you've had a short-term period of taking away all the foods you should eat, and then you just go back to normal, it is going to pile on perhaps the 2-3 pounds you lost.
Yeah. Well, some of these diets claim that you can lose 10-12 pounds in a week, and you live on fruit or vegetables.
Not safe.
No, not safe for long term as well. And that's the problem, is that people try them and think, hey, I lost a lot of weight this week, and then they carry on doing it, and gradually over time the weight they lose stops because they're sneaking in other things because they're so hungry.
Yes.
Yet they really believe that they're keeping to this diet, and it's hard work.
What do you feel about just eating when you're hungry? Or do you think you should eat at set times, like, breakfast, lunch, dinner?
It's one of those cases that all one size doesn't fit everybody. What we've found is that some people don't think about food in the day. So if they only ate when they were hungry, they might go a day or two without eating, and that's not good for them. Other people find it difficult to differentiate between being thirsty and being hungry. So they've got that sensation, I want something, and they go for food, where probably what they need is a drink, because a lot of people get dehydrated, particularly if you're working in a hospital where it's hot, because we don't want to give colds to all these people who are going around in their pyjamas. So it's hot, so you get dehydrated. If you're busy and you don't get a break, then you end up being dehydrated. And sometimes people find it difficult differentiating between the two things. So
that's interesting.
There is a case for both, and the thing to do is to really think about how you eat and what you eat. And if you are somebody who, oh, I'm on my own, I'll eat. Oh, I'm going out with friends, I'll eat. Oh, I'm waiting in the car to pick somebody up, I'll eat. If you're that sort of person, then probably having that routine that says I will only eat 3 meals a day probably would work for you better than somebody who just doesn't think about it.
I think it's safe to say that the best thing you can do is when you're eating is to stop when you know you're full. Now that is a really difficult thing to do, particularly if you're enjoying the meal
That's right.
that you're eating.
Yeah. What happens is when you eat, your stomach filling up with food, sends a message to your brain to say I'm full. If you eat quickly, you've eaten a lot more food before that message has gone from your brain and you've thought, I'm full. So one of the things to do is really enjoy the food you're eating. Eat it slowly, chew it well, really enjoy eating it. And then that means that you will have eaten less in between your brain telling you you're full and your stomach knowing it.
That's a good tip.
We talk about putting down your knife and fork and chatting to people, because often when you're with other people and you're talking, you don't think about what you're eating.
That's true. That's a good tip. Yeah, and hydration is really important. What's the average? I always get really confused about what we should. I can't do litres. So can you do it in something that,
How about cups?
Cups would be perfect.
Yeah, I know cups vary in size, but on average 6 to 8 cups a day is a good amount to drink. And it doesn't matter what it is. It can be water, it can be tea, coffee, herbal tea, squash, pop. The only drink that doesn't count towards your fluid intake is alcoholic drinks, because alcohol dehydrates.
Yeah. Now let's move on to detox.
Oh, another favourite topic.
Good or bad?
Not very good, no. In fact, our bodies are incredibly efficient. And as long as there's nothing wrong with your liver and your kidneys, your body detoxes itself naturally. So you don't need to starve yourself, drink weird liquids or anything like that. Just eat well.
Yeah. Very difficult though, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yes.
It really is. Something I know nothing about at all is, what's the alkaline diet?
Oh, this is one of the trendy faddish diets that's around at the moment. It's making all sorts of claims that it can make you feel better. There was even a point a claim that it might help cure cancer, none of which are true. And what it's trying to do is to get you to eat different foods in different proportions at different times to help cure whatever or lose weight.
Sounds complicated.
It's very, very complicated, and because you can't eat certain foods at certain times, then your calorie intake goes down, so you lose weight. And that's how a lot of these diets that cut out food groups work.
Now, I know we spoke earlier and you talked about this fitness for fitness. What was it?
FitFutures.
That's it, FitFutures.
Yes. FitFutures is a scheme that's been commissioned by Warwickshire Public Health to help people who want to improve their fitness, their lifestyle, or lose weight. And you can be referred to FitFutures by your doctor, your nurse, your physio, your dietitian, and you get referred and you can opt to either have 12 weeks cut price in a local gym, or 12 weeks free with one of many organisations that can help you lose weight. And the idea is that if you do something for 12 weeks, you become so accustomed to doing it that it becomes usual for you and you carry on, whether on your own or with the help of the FitFutures team. So it's brilliant, and they've got some lovely results.
It really sounds good. Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for coming in today. But before you go, big question.
Oh, yes.
Is it true that you're allowed to eat a small piece of dark chocolate every day? And it's good for you. Don't disappoint.
Sorry, I think I might be. First of all, the thing about dark chocolate, the theory was that dark chocolate contains antioxidants that are good for you. And when they researched how much there was in it, they discovered that all the different brands of chocolate varied in how much of this antioxidant they contained, whether they were the deepest, darkest 99% cocoa solids to the lightest milk chocolate. And they think it's something to do with how it's manufactured and, well, harvested and manufactured. So we can't say eat this amount of chocolate because it contains this much antioxidant. So that's one thing. The problem is that even the chocolates that contain the large amount of the antioxidant, you'd probably have to eat 4 or 5 chocolate bars to get enough of the antioxidant to have a health benefit. So overall, if you had to do that every day, you'd put on loads of weight and you'd end up with loads of other problems because of your weight. So from that point of view, not good. But if you like chocolate and the rest of your diet's pretty healthy, have a piece and enjoy it. Yeah, that's the thing about food. It's enjoying what you have, but enjoying it in the right amounts.
Well, that's the whole key, really, to the confectionery mile that seems to be in each garage and shop, right in front of you before you walk in, or just as you walk in. But if we really just are sensible and have proper meals at proper proportions, a little treat now and again, but of course also exercise. You don't have to go mad with that really, but move during the day. Yeah. You can maintain your weight.
Oh, you can, yes. Yeah.
It's easy, really.
It is. It depends on how tempted you get. So if you're one of those people who always buys a chocolate bar, if you go in and pay for your petrol, pay at the pump. You don't go into the petrol station and you don't.
Smart. You're so smart.
And the other one that's good is if you ever eat meals at Warwick Hospital in the restaurant, you'll notice that our tills just have the condiments and fruit. We've taken sweets away from our checkouts. We're working on what we're doing in the coffee shop because that was designed to display sweets and cakes and chocolate. But you'll even notice there by the till, we keep the healthier snacks next to the till, and the fridge now contains healthier things like baguettes and vegetables and yogurts and things like that. So we are trying to help people resist temptation.
Yeah, that's really good. So once again, tell us about where you are.
Right.
From 12th of June?
12th of June, Dietitians Week starts. You'll find the Dietitians stand in the main corridor, outside outpatients, and we'll usually be there from 11 till 3, but on some days we'll be there a little bit longer. Lovely. So please come down, say hello, ask us a question. That's what we're looking forward to.
Lovely. Thanks very much for coming in today, Ruth.
Pleasure.